What's up, everybody? You're watching Model Aviator. My name's Adam, and we have another hand launch airplane on the bench. Hand launch planes, or hand tossers as they're commonly referred to nowadays. I can't say that without chuckling. Anyway, they are all the rage. They sell very, very well. A lot of companies are making a lot of different ones, and the Reno Aces series from HobbyKing, which is where this one comes from. This is the FG-1 Lucky Gallon Corsair from the Reno Aces series. They've got them in stock at HobbyKing. If you want to get one, order yours today. I really like the look of this airplane. You can tell it's a very old school paint scheme, racing paint scheme. It's a beautiful, beautiful airplane. I love the way that it looks. We changed a couple of things. Heidi, as you can see in these pictures, painted the radiator intakes as well as the engine. It came with just a bright silver engine, and we didn't think that looked very good, so she touched that up. We put a pretty super cool pilot in one of the two canopies that it comes with. You can get a clear canopy, or you can get this thing. A lot of people put that on. It looks good, but we wanted to go with that. To give you a little history of the airplane, this is modeled after an actual Corsair that raced from August to September of actually 1946. Believe it or not, this airplane didn't really compete in the Reno Air Races. It actually competed for the Thompson Trophy in the reciprocating division in 1946. It was flown by Cook Cleland to a 6th place finish with an average speed of 357.465 miles an hour. Now, unfortunately, in 1950, this airplane, the full-scale plane, was badly damaged in high winds. It changed hands a couple of times. It is now owned currently by Vulture's Row Aviation in California. My understanding is it is in pieces, and the plan is within a few years to restore it back to this paint scheme. So that is a pretty cool history of the airplane that this beauty is modeled after. When this beauty came in, it was packed very, very well. It was in a box, and then when we opened the actual aircraft box, everything was packed super good, nice and tight, didn't have any room to move. Everything came in undamaged, and that enabled us to get right to the assembly, which there is not much to. Now, you get everything that you see here assembled. There's two canopies, a painted one if you don't want to mess with putting the pilot in, or the clear one if you want to do what we did. You can choose. Has a quick setup guide. This just has things like your balance, your control throws, some of the specs of the airplane. It doesn't really come with instructions. My understanding is you can download those if you need them, but you really don't. There's the wing, the fuselage, the horizontal, and the prop, and that's all you have to do. Putting a prop on, we've all done that. That's pretty doggone easy. There's one metal bolt, a small one, to put the horizontal on, and there's a plastic wing bolt to put the wing on that goes in through the hatch. Now we're going to show you a little bit about how we did that. It looks simple enough. One thing you need to make sure that you do when you engage the two little plastic dowels into the fuselage from the wing, you want to make sure that those are engaged really, really well by pressing down on the wing. When you do that, you can feel the wing made up to the fuselage much better, much smoother, and much more flush. You want to make sure you do that before you screw that wing bolt in. Once you do that, you're good to go. A couple of things we did that everybody might not do. We put our HRB 2200 4S pack all the way forward, and even with it all the way forward, I still felt like the airplane from flying it was just a touch tail heavy. So we added a ½ ounce of weight as far forward as I could reach in there and get it and still get glued to it so that I could make sure that it did move around. That ½ ounce of weight with the weight of our battery all the way forward makes for perfect performance. You're going to see our setup page here in a bit, so you'll see where that balance point among other things is. The other thing that we did that's a little bit outside what a lot of folks might do, with the battery that far forward, you can use Velcro, but with it that far forward, there's not a lot of room to lift the battery up, to disengage it from the Velcro. You have to kind of wiggle it and pull it. I guess it's not a big deal to some, but that just kind of annoyed me. I like being able to put the battery in, especially with an airplane like this, throw my hatch on and go. So what we did is just install the battery stop. We're going to be using the same batteries all the time, those same HRBs. I can get a lot more of them if I need them. And this mats perfectly right up to our HRB and holds it in place very, very well. The fear was that possibly that battery might push against our stop and loosen our canopy, but through testing, since the battery can't move, there's no room for it to accelerate and bang up against that. It's held in place, I think, with a smaller battery. That could possibly be a problem, but with ours, since they're snug, it doesn't move. You'll see some negative G maneuvers in the flying, and we had no problem with the hatch coming off, so works. You don't have to do it, but that's what we did. So with that, we're going to go to the setup page. You'll see our entire setup, including that balance point that we like the airplane at. I think there, just for me personally, for my taste, it grooves and flies the way a warbird should. So check that out. Right after that, we'll go right into the flying footage so you can see everything we did. I'll be narrating throughout that footage, giving you some thoughts, and then we'll meet you right back here on the bench after the flight footage for our final thoughts on this beauty. So check all this out. This first sequence, we're going to bring it in nice and slow and just show you with some slow speed, easy turns, how well the plane handles, staying inside the circumference of the trees here at the Fayette Flyers RC Club. This is a tight field, the tightest one that we fly at, and to maneuver a warbird, even one this size, around this slow within the circumference of the trees, it's got to have pretty good flying characteristics. This one displayed no bad habits. Here's a stall. Slightly drops a wing to the left and recovers easily. Here we're just putting the plane through a few scale maneuvers. We did a loop and that was a slow roll. I think coming up next is a presentation pass. Here I'm going to roll into the power as I pull out of the presentation pass, and as you can see, it's got vertical until you decide to stop. And here we're going to put a little negative on the plane. Going to do an inverted pass and push out through a half outside loop.
That was a half Cuban, and now I'm going to do yet another presentation pass. I think that was 3 for this video, but when the airplane is that pretty, to be honest, I really just like watching it go by. Gonna follow that up with a displacement roll, very similar to a barrel roll. And now we're going to open her up a bit. That's full throttle with a vertical roll. This is 3 full deflection aileron rolls with our aileron throw in our setup, just so you know how fast the plane will roll with our setup. Here we're going to set up for a little knife edge. The plane will sustain it as long as you want if you have the room. And I thought it'd be cool to kind of take a run at this airliner. Don't worry, it's about 3 miles away from us at that point. And this is what we like to call a low heater. That was a reasonably aggressive turnaround in a small space, fairly quick. And there we just did a little slip pass, and then we're going to slip her into landing. Airplane really handles well. It really handles the cross control of a slip well. This is actually a full deflection rudder slip with our setup. And then we'll straighten her up, hold her off. Nice smooth touchdown.
You could probably tell from the footage, but I had a blast flying this airplane. Right off the bat, when I saw it, the appearance, when I saw Stuart and his video on this airplane, I literally ordered it about a minute after watching that video. Looked like it flew good. Gorgeous airplane. I love the fact that it has an early racer paint scheme and that it's all Corsair. This was before they started clipping wings and putting tiny canopies and getting rid of the turtle deck and doing all kinds of crazy stuff to modify warbirds to go fast. I like the fact that this was just a Corsair with a cool paint job. So that was really attractive to me. It's very, very reasonably priced, and I have to say that I'm starting to really warm up to the hand tosser airplanes. That has not been a genre that I have put in my hangar much. This is actually the first hand toss airplane that I've bought in a long time. I reviewed some, but this is the first one in a while that I've made mine. I kind of get how awesome it is to have something small enough to easily store, easily transport. You get to the field, you just throw a battery in it, and you go. I like that idea. And this particular one flies amazing. It cuts a really good smooth line. I love that it's got rudder. Most of the hand tossers are bank and yank. That really annoys me. I love using rudder. And you saw that in the flying with some of the slips coming in, some of the knife edges. It's just nice having rudder. You can fly this airplane really, really scale. It cuts a smooth line if that's what you want to do. You can throttle it up, and you can do a whole lot more than that if you want to. And if you really want crazy speed, they offer a Pro motor that will put this airplane over the century mark. We're going to put a link to the airplane as well as the Pro motor in our description, so check those out at HobbyKing. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Now, when it comes to skill level, obviously it's not a beginner's airplane. Might be a good second or third airplane. It really just depends on how comfortable you are. I think if you're a comfortable intermediate pilot and you've done some hand launching, you'll be able to do pretty well with this. It does have a lot of torque. It really wants to roll to the left pretty hard. I suggest setting up a rudder to throttle mix so that when you throttle up, it feeds in right rudder. That really helps correct that tendency when you launch the airplane. If you put it on a switch, you can just flip it off once it gets on step, and you don't have to turn it back on until you go to launch it again. That will definitely make that easier for you, and I love having rudder to correct that. A lot of times when you're hand launching an airplane, you see a lot of crashes. Some of the sketch things that happen when you hand launch a plane and you see them torque over or crash shortly thereafter is they don't have a lot of speed. They're really not on step yet. There's not good airflow over all the control surfaces yet, and big aileron inputs to try to correct this tendency a lot of times can cause an off-camber situation on the wing and cause a stall. Just kind of makes this worse, and you roll it in trying to correct the other way. Having rudder to correct that when you're slow prevents that. So remember, if your hand tosser has rudder, use it. So anyway, I can't say any more about it. It's a wonderful airplane. Highly recommend it. Check it out at HobbyKing with the links in our description. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We really appreciate you watching and sticking around till the end. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next week.